Okay, so I wanted to talk about this college professor, Elie Mystal. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. He's another one of them like radical black race hustlers. He's like a college professor, which is crazy. They actually allow openly racist black people to be college professors, because you can't be an openly racist white person and be a college professor. You would get dragged through the streets and they will hang you on a cross and crucify you like Jesus if you white. But if you black, it's okay to be racist. Like I always say, black people are allowed to be openly racist against white people all the time. This brother speaks out all the time, anti-white rhetoric, pro-BLM kind of guy. And BLM is actually an anti-black movement, by the way. It's anti-white movement, anti-American movement. BLM is 110% against the nation. I don't know who the hell came up with it. George Soros and all of them lesbians that he was working with and funded it. That's a whole nother story. Now, this dude is coming after the Constitution. He think that we should rip it up and tear it apart. And his way of thinking ain't that far away from how a lot of black people think. And I'm not one of y'all. Yeah, I know my skin is black and I'm a brown person. I get that. But I don't identify with a lot of you African Americans because a lot of y'all don't understand what freedom is. So y'all will vote against freedom. Like I always tell y'all, go to one of these pro-black, blackity black, back to Africa countries and see how well they treat you. The Constitution is something that a lot of black people love to brag about and say, oh, well, it wasn't written for us. It was written for white people. It was written by white people. We don't give a damn about no Constitution written by 55 white men. Tear it up, Obama. Tear it up. That's what y'all want. Y'all want the Constitution to be completely destroyed because y'all don't believe in freedom. Y'all want the Democratic Party to control everything, right? Tear up the Constitution. The Constitution allows this college professor to speak his mind openly on national TV. The First Amendment is allowing this dude to speak. Go to one of these pro-blackity black back to Africa countries, Professor Eli, whatever his name is. Go to one of these pro-black countries and try to speak out against their government and see how well they treat you. See how pro-black they really are. In the United States, he's exercising his First Amendment, freedom of speech. It doesn't matter. I'm happy that no black people was part of the Constitution because black people would have tore it up. I'm happy no woman was part of it. I'm happy that it was the founding fathers who put it together, and it was written on Christian-based values. This is a Christian-based country. The Constitution ain't got nothing to do with keeping black people in slavery. Nothing. Does the Constitution mention slavery in one or two amendments? Yes, it do, but it never say that slavery is okay. Now, if you just so happen to become a prisoner based off of the crimes you commit, can they use you for labor? Absolutely. But other than that, the Constitution ain't got nothing to do with demonizing black folks. It actually is pro-American and it's to protect everybody. And we all could exercise the Constitution and use it to our advantage. This is a great country that we have. I'm happy that we have the Constitution. Other countries don't have that documented, signed by their leadership, because most other countries is somewhat under a dictatorship. Not all, but most of them. Listen to what this so-called educated college professor, I'm sure he got a DR in front of his name because he's so smart. He's smarter than me. But just because you're smart, it doesn't mean that you actually have real intelligence or have real wisdom, because you could say a bunch of big words and you got a doctor in front of your name. We supposed to listen to you. We see Dr. Fauci. He's an expert and he's a dumbass. Anyway, I'll let y'all listen to what he got to say.
Should the Constitution be thrown out? What do we do? Is it a living document? Or is it a sacred document?
It's certainly not sacred. All right, let's start there. The Constitution is kind of trash. Now, let's just talk as adults for a second.
What did you say? It's what?
It's kind of trash.
Trash.
It was written by slavers and colonists and white people who were willing to make deals with slavers and colonists. They didn't ask anybody who looked like me what they thought about the Constitution. They didn't say, oh, Jim, come over here. What do you think about this old Constitution? Yeah. Well, massa, I sure don't like how you sell my children. But I gotta say, man, this King George, he needs to be stopped. Yeah. My grandpapa used to say, ain't no taxation without representation for massa. Like, that's not what happened.
Okay.
Right?
But yo, my man, Are we also going to ignore the fact that there was black slave owners in this country who actually had some of the biggest plantations in this country? Are we also going to ignore the fact that most white people in this country ain't have nothing to do with slavery and didn't even have no plantations for slaves to work on? We're going to ignore that fact. We're going to ignore Christopher Newport, who actually was bringing Caucasians over here from Europe and pitting them on plantations to work alongside of the black slaves, right? Because there was white slaves in this country too. That's something that's ignored. And black people participated in the slave trade throughout the whole world, right? Everybody participated in it. Western civilization, the so-called most racist civilization, but Western civilization was the first civilization that recognized slavery was wrong and then went all around the world, especially to African countries and mommy Africa, to help abolish slavery all around the world. Even though North Africa and certain parts of Africa still participating in it, the pro-blackly black back to Africa countries. Listen to this idiot.
This document was written without the consent of black and brown people in this country and without the consent of women in this country. And I say if that is the starting point, the very least we can do is ignore what those slavers and colonists and misogynists thought and interpret the Constitution in a way that makes sense for our modern world. That's the starting line.
Do you want to rewrite it?
I could, right? I could rewrite parts of it in a tweet, right? Like, how about popular election for the president? People vote, not land.
That's not even in there, is it?
I'm saying
Yeah,
if I was rewriting it, we could do it in a tweet, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Term limits for Supreme Court justices. And how about no states' rights when it comes to health care, elections, policing, and guns?
Right.
It's just better. That's just better, and you can do that in a tweet.
Can't the amendments help some of that?
Well, here's the problem with the amendment process.
Really fast now, I got 20 seconds.
The problem with the amendment process is that in American history, there have been 115 people allowed to interpret what the amendments mean. 108 of them have been white.
Okay.
That's a problem.
Well, you are certainly a compelling guest on this, isn't he? Fantastic. Elie Mystal is his name.
So as you can see, this guy is a complete moron, but he have all the degrees that money can buy, so that make him a real intelligent person. I appreciate the Constitution. It was written based off of Christian values. The Constitution is part of the reason why I am a conservative Republican, because I do want to conserve the Constitution. I do feel that the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, stuff like that is very, very important. Under these dictatorship countries where they don't have a constitution, the government is the end all be all. In America, the Constitution is written so the government could fear the people, not us fear the government. Now, that's the reason. The reason of the Constitution is the exact reason why the Supreme Court justice voted against vaccine mandate. Is literally because of the documents that the founding fathers put in place. If we didn't have that, then this country could force us all to inject ourselves with a vaccination that may not be effective for some people. If it wasn't for the Constitution, we wouldn't have the right to defend ourselves. We wouldn't have the right to speak on national TV about disagreements we have with the country. It's so much to say here, but the Constitution is a very, very important document, and we need it, and it gives us the freedom that we have. A lot of people ain't going to really appreciate it until you try one of these other countries that's not under Christian value Constitution. Try it and see how it work out. That's why everybody and their mama, they fighting to get here. And one of the number one reasons why is because we have a constitution where the people keep the government in check. That's the reason why they can't just do whatever they want to do. This guy want policing to be like some kind of national thing when it's better off being state regulated. So this guy wants to abolish the Electoral College. The Electoral College that elect the president, the commander in chief. He just wanted to be based off of the popular vote. No, we cannot do that, because if we did that, it would only be like what? New York City and LA to basically determine who's going to be the commander in chief every single election. That means the Democrats would control everything if we just went off of the popular vote. We need the electoral colleges so that way some of the farmers in Illinois get a choice of who's going to be the president. Because it can't, the electoral college makes so much sense. That's a whole nother subject. Then this guy want federal policing. He doesn't want it to be state regulated. He want it to be federal. I'm telling you, y'all think policing is bad in America now? Let policing become federal and is all controlled by the government, and they get to set the law and the foundation and see how well it work out, especially for black people, right? This guy's supposed to be a pro-black guy. I mean, the Democratic Party, all their talking points, it sounds good, but in reality, when it's actually put to the test, none of that crap work. It's completely satanic. This guy is an evil man, and he hates the United States, and he hates the Constitution, and he's spitting on them white people that's right in front of him, and they going right along with it. They know it ain't true, but they so scared to speak the truth that they go along with it too. I mean, The View, everybody on there is idiots anyway. But hey, you know what? It's just like, I think that a lot of people, especially, I said it before, a lot of black people hate the United States. So yes, they want to do certain stuff to basically piss white people off, because they know like a lot of white people like the Constitution and they want to destroy it just because it's out of spite. This country was created for freedom. I mean, the founding fathers knew that slavery was coming to an abolishment anyway. It wasn't written into law for it to stay. Now, I appreciate the country. Do you appreciate the country? Anyway, I'm Nate Savage. Like my video, share my video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure you share this with a friend. I appreciate everybody. All right, I'm out. Peace.